Let's talk about the final perk coming to Cold War Zombies. We're going to focus on PhD in this video, but we could also talk about other perks as well, other concepts, tier 5 upgrades we want to see, perk combinations. We're going to go through all of that in today's video. If you guys are new and would like to subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that, and be sure to drop a like on the video as well. If you guys didn't know, when Cold War Zombies first came out last year, we had a bunch of info on what perks we were going to see over the next year, the DLC seasons of Cold War Zombies. We had Mule Kick, Tombstone, Double Tap, and PhD. Of course, as with all rumors like that one, you can never fully verify and 100% confirm that it's going to happen, but once we got Tombstone, and then once we got Mule Kick, it gave that perk list some validity, and most people were assuming that, okay, the two other perks are going to be released as well, PhD and Double Tap. But with the third DLC perk being a Black Ops 4 perk, Death Perception, that really threw a wrench into everything. And now we have one last perk, and most people are thinking, well, is it PhD? Is it Double Tap? Is it another BO4 perk? It's a really interesting situation here. I've seen a lot of people say they want to see PhD, and what we're going to go through here is PhD as the base perk, and then potentially the tiers and upgrades being from other past perks. So what I would like to see is, again, PhD as the base perk. I want to see that PhD perk machine, but maybe if they want to have some other BO4 perk abilities, add them into tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. As for Double Tap, it could very well be implemented into the perk, but I feel like at this point, it's just not going to be added. It's not going to happen. So we'll see very soon. They're going to confirm it this week. But let's go through here a bunch of the PhD concepts, focusing on this perk in specific. Will it be a flopper perk, a slider perk? What tiers are we going to see? Are the tier 5 upgrades worth it? Let's go through all these options here. The first concept here for PhD flopper was something we went through so many months ago before the tier 4 and 5 upgrades were even released in the game. Base version of the perk is when sliding into a zombie, an explosion occurs and self-harm from explosives are lowered to 50%. Tier 1, slide 35% faster. Tier 2, increase explosive damage by 15%. And Tier 3, increase explosive radius by 50%. So fairly basic tiers here. Of course, the tier 4 and tier 5 might have other abilities. Maybe tier 4 could be an ability from a BO4 perk. Tier 5 could be a double tap ability. Who knows? But those first three tiers there makes perfect sense. I could see that being in the game. You guys are probably also looking at the name of the perk, PhD Flopper, but the tiers and the description says sliding. I think it's assumed here that it's going to be PhD Slider in the game. So it'll most likely be called PhD Slider and not PhD Flopper. Although I use those two terms interchangeably, honestly. When I say PhD Flopper, I'm just saying the perk in general. So I get what this guy's doing here with this concept, but let's go through the next concept here a bit more in depth. The base version of the perk, immunity to self-inflicted explosive damage. Pressing the crouch button while running will give you a dolphin dive ability. Holding it is still a slide, customizable on the settings. Super interesting base version there, so you could do both sliding and flopping there. Tier 1, increased radius of the dolphin diver explosion. Tier 2, increased jump height and dolphin dive animation is quicker. Tier 4, explosive damage is increased by 20%, and Tier 5, pack-a-punch pistols will now shoot explosive projectiles. So clearly they're skipping a Tier 3 here, but really we're just looking at these abilities in general, trying to see which ones we would bring over to the actual PhD perk in Cold War Zombies. The base version of this perk is super interesting. It's a cool concept to be able to both slide and dolphin dive. Unfortunately, I just don't think the dolphin dive ability will be added to Cold War Zombies, but it is a cool idea nonetheless. Similar tiers here to the last concept, increase the radius, jump height, dolphin dive animations quicker, explosive damage is increased as well. That tier 5 is kind of cool. Pack punch pistols will now shoot explosive projectiles. So overall, very similar to the last one with slight modifications. This next one here is super funny because I saw this on the COD Zombies Reddit, and someone said this was a leaked image that came out of the official final DLC perk in the game, and I feel like they may have gotten it from my recent video because I used this and we talked about this concept a couple of weeks ago. So just to let you guys know, again, this is just a perk concept here, but the base version of this perk, explosive damage reduced by 50%. When sliding, create explosions that damage zombies, recharges over time. Tier 1, explosion radius from sliding increased by 30%. Tier 2, sliding explosion stuns special zombies. Tier 3, carry an extra lethal equipment, Tier 4, slide for a longer distance, and Tier 5, immune to explosive damage. So pretty cool tiers there, very similar to the actual BO4 Zombies perk PhD slider, although I can't see there being that Tier 3 option of an extra lethal equipment. That doesn't really make sense to me. Tier 2 could be brought even higher, honestly, if it includes all special and elite zombies. That could be pretty sick as well. And again, we don't know for sure what other perks will be brought together into this final DLC perk, but I'd assume we would have a bit more than just Tier 5 being immune to explosive damage, because as I mentioned in my recent video when we talked about this, having to upgrade your perk all the way to Tier 5 just to get a base version of the perk that you had in past games does kind of seem a bit annoying. So immunity to explosive damage or self-inflicted explosive damage should be one of the base versions of the perk, if not Tier 1. Let me know how you feel about that down below. It's not a big deal. It's fairly easy to fully upgrade your perks, but it just makes more sense to have that at the beginning of the perk upgrade scale. And then Tier 5 could be some type of other perk ability like we've been saying. More concepts here. Here's from my comment section a couple of days ago. PhD Flopper, explosive immunity, now hold impact grenades and more of them, so pretty much what we said before. Tier 1, grenades split into tiny clusters that blow up instantly on impact. Tier 2, sliding into any zombie type will cause an explosion. Normal zombies will flop on their backside if not killed by it. Tier 3, melee now does explosive damage. Tier 4, small explosions enable you to double jump. Pressing circle after a double jump will make you belly flop, causing a big shockwave explosion. Tier 5, the more explosive damage you take, the more radiation your body emits, slowing down zombies that come close to you by 50%. Super interesting concepts here. Definitely the most unique I've seen. Let me know down below how you feel about these tiers. I think Tier 4 with the belly flop, dolphin dive, that's not going to happen, obviously. But Tier 5 could be kind of cool where if you're taking more explosive damage, self-inflicted more specifically, your body emits radiation for a temporary period or something, or a couple seconds after that, and it slows down all of the zombies around you. Kind of cool. Kind of a mixture of a field upgrade type of vibe, but in a perk. So seems like a fairly interesting concept there. Another concept here, PhD Stomper, an interesting name here. Base version, immune to self-inflicted explosive damage. Tier 1, increase explosive radius. Tier 2, carry 1 extra lethal. Tier 3, reduce the damage from enemy ranged attacks and enemy AoE attacks. Tier 4, falling a great height creates an explosion on landing, requires explosive lethal that's consumed on detonation. Parachuting does not activate this effect. Tier 5, the Colt M1911 appears in the mystery box as a wonder weapon. Pack Punch gives the player Mustang and Sally dual pistols with 6 rounds each and explosive ammunition, cannot trigger elemental pop, does not gain bonuses from the pistol armory upgrades. Super crazy stuff here. Again, would Tier 5 of PhD, or any perk for that matter, give you a wonder weapon? Because pretty much here, you have to get to Tier 5 of this PhD Stomper perk to get the Mustang and Sally. Let me know down below, would you be happy if that was the case? I mean, I definitely miss the Mustang and Sally as a weapon in zombies, but having to get to Tier 5 of this perk and then only having a chance to hit the mystery box and get it as a wonder weapon seems kind of weird, but I don't know. Super interesting concept there nonetheless. Next concept here, PhD Slider. We have no base version of this perk apparently, but Tier 1, explosive damage taken is decreased by 25%. Tier 2, sliding sets off an explosive effect dealing 20% explosive damage to nearby zombies, recharges over time. Tier 3, additional 10% damage to explosive weapons and gadgets. Tier 4, sliding explosive staggers special zombies. And Tier 5, reduce recharge time and immunity to player dealt explosive damage. So fairly similar concept here to other concepts we've seen before. I could see the actual staggering or stunning of special elite zombies. I still personally can't see Tier 5 being the player dealt explosive damage option. I still think that would be the beginning of the perk, but again, you guys may have other opinions than me. That's definitely perfectly fine. Another concept here, we have PhD Slider. The base ability here, immune to explosive damage and sliding, creates a short explosion. Tier 1, sliding distance is increased and recharge for explosive slide is decreased. Tier 2, falling from higher heights creates a small explosion on impact. Tier 3, upon breaking, armor will create a small stun explosion. Kind of cool concept there. Tier 4, explosive damage is increased by 25%. And Tier 5, double damage and radius for explosive slide and can hold up to 3 sliding charges. Another cool slider concept here. I definitely like this vibe. The armor one's kind of cool. Tier 5 is kind of cool as well. And the other tiers we've went through before. So I think that's pretty much it for the PhD tiers for now. There are other concepts we could go through, but it would get pretty redundant at that point. We got a good idea as to all the different ideas you guys would want to see as this final perk if it is going to be PhD. But I want to go through here a Widow's Wine DLC perk concept. I would love to see this implemented into PhD on one of the tiers or whatever this final DLC perk is in the game. If Widow's Wine was tier 4 and tier 5, that would be super cool. Let's go through here a strictly Widow's Wine perk concept for Cold War Zombies. The base version of this perk is getting hit by a melee attack while missing health will cause a cobweb explosion that will decay or slow enemies nearby. You could store up to 3 charges every round. Tier 1, cobweb explosion will affect a larger radius. Tier 2, cobweb explosion lasts twice as long. Tier 3, the amount of charges you could store has been increased to 5. Tier 4, slotting will create a cobweb trail that slows down any enemies inside of it, 30-second cooldown. And Tier 5, charges are now time-based instead of round-based, 30 seconds to regenerate a charge. So pretty cool stuff there. A big argument as to why Widow's Wine wouldn't be a perk is because of the crafting system and how it works a bit differently. And for me, it doesn't seem like too big of a deal. You could still have those spider drops. You pick them up, you get your Widow's Wine grenades. You could also maybe even buy them from the crafting table as well, only if you bought the perk and you fully upgraded the perk. So they could have some workarounds to that. It could be pretty cool. And again, I miss Widow's Wine a lot. A super fun perk. The perk and all of its tiers here definitely do feel like a field upgrade type of vibe. I wouldn't have been surprised if they decide to add Widow's Wine strictly as a field upgrade in Cold War Zombies, but that's why we're saying here maybe only tier 4 or just tier 5 of this final perk. If it is PhD, we could have some Widow's Wine vibes thrown in here just for the hell of it. I feel like it would be super cool. So let me know down below how you guys feel about that. But that's pretty much it here for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy. We have a lot of stuff coming up this week for DLC 4, this final map, a ton of gameplay reveals. The perk will probably be revealed this week as well. Just a lot of stuff happening as we go into the release of Season 6, and of course, Vanguard coming out. Vanguard Zombies reveal will be around the end of October, Halloween time. There's just a ton of stuff to look forward to if you're a fan of Call of Duty, and more specifically, a fan of zombies. There are 2 videos up on screen that may interest you, so be sure to check one of them out. Real do appreciate it, guys. Shout out to the YouTube channel members as always, and I'll see you guys in the next video or live stream. Peace out, guys.